For more than 20 years, I've been obsessed with guitars. From playing them, to working on them, to buying and collecting them, I've built quite the collection of awesome custom guitars. Now, I'm turning my passion into a profession by seeking out old, beat-up guitars and giving them new life, all while trying to make a profit. I'll be searching everywhere for used gear that I can refret, rewire, repaint, whatever it takes to make it a real shredder. This is Trash to Thrash. Hey, what's up guys? Mark from Guitar Guts and Trash to Thrash, and I wanted to give a quick word about today's episode before we get into it. This episode is all about Eddie Van Halen, and it was actually recorded months ago, before he passed away. And I wanted to say, he's been my number one inspiration for playing guitar, number one inspiration to start modifying guitars, and before we got into the episode, I just wanted to say rest in peace to Eddie Van Halen, the greatest of all time. I call him the GOAT of guitar. But yeah, this episode's really good. It shows a lot of the Van Halen guitars I've worked on and my process of building them, and wanted to say rest in peace, Eddie, the king. Enjoy the episode, guys. When Eddie Van Halen burst into the mainstream rock world in the late 1970s, he came with a brand new sound, and it started a brand new era for guitarists. This was the first replica I ever made of his original Frankenstrat. He played with a style that had not yet been introduced to lead rock guitar. In songs like Eruption, he would tap with both hands on the fretboard, creating a keyboard-like sound. He was the first person to take electric guitars apart and switch parts from one guitar to another. Companies weren't really selling parts yet, and there weren't aftermarket guitar parts being manufactured yet. Eddie took the humbucker out of one guitar and put it into a Strat-style body that he acquired from a local guitar shop and combined it with another neck, and then after some chiseling and some spray paint, he eventually came up with the Frankenstrat. He had many different variations of this guitar over the years. I saw this as a young kid and became obsessed. I'd been listening to classic rock my whole life through my parents, but I'd never seen anyone play the way Eddie does. I saw it on a VHS tape at my friend's house, and right when I saw it, I knew I had to play guitar. I never had any idea it was going to lead me where I am today, though. Eddie's guitar taste has influenced me so much. Eddie was my inspiration for playing guitar way back when I was 9 years old. His guitars typically feature a powerful bridge pickup, a Floyd Rose bridge, sometimes a kill switch, and he also implements eye-bolt strap holders. More modernly, he started using D-tunas to aid in fast tuning changes. I've built many variations of Eddie's famous Frankenstrat. The original, the Bumblebee, something I always imagined in my head, a red, white, and blue Charvel SoCal model, and a green Charvel variation, which is another idea I've always had in my head. You don't see that many bright green guitars, and I don't know why. Green is definitely one of my favorite colors for guitars. And a purple and blue burst Frankenstrat with black stripes, a clear pickguard, and blue LEDs. I've even built a polka dot pink and purple burst Frankenstrat style guitar for my daughter. Eddie also played another model later in his career, the Wolfgang. This is the Wolfgang. This is the one I bought about 3 years back and painted it with these stripes. I wanted the stripe model, but they weren't quite in my price range at the time, so I bought this standard model and refinished it. Added eye-bolt strap locks, threw a D-tuna on it, and an Iron Age kill switch. It was a great guitar, but I recently set up this Blood Wolfgang, which is the exact same model guitar with a lot of the same mods, but I added an EMG 81 pickup to this guitar to give it some real heavy metal tones, which is better for my style. I'm almost at 50 guitars in my collection, and with 7 of them being Van Halen-inspired guitars, I'm going to get rid of just a couple of them. This Wolfgang will be the first to hit the market. It's a great guitar, but I really just don't play it anymore. I'm always looking for new guitars to buy. Whether it's guitars to rebuild and sell, or to keep for my personal collection, I'm always on eBay, Reverb, and Craigslist looking for good deals. Well, I found the next guitar I need. I recently purchased this LTD MH1000, and it's been one of the best guitars I've ever played. I absolutely love this thing. But another one has come up for sale, and it's in one of my favorite colors ever for guitars, green. I talked to the guy, and he's willing to let it go for $550 shipped, with a hard shell case, I might add. My goal here is to sell the Wolfgang for $550 and then buy that MH1000. So essentially, I'll be trading my blood, sweat, and tears to trade up from $320 up to a $1,000 guitar. It's in near mint condition, and the guys had it up for quite a while because green isn't everyone's favorite color. Hopefully I can find a buyer for this Wolfgang before that green LTD sells. In the meantime, I'll be refinishing this 80s Kramer for a fellow Instagrammer. Of course, we'll be going with some Van Halen style Frankenstrat stripes. This is the neck that he sent me. Super high grade bird's eye maple from Music Craft. I'll be painting the headstock to match the body. This one's going to be going red, black, and white, similar to this one here. Except this one here, you might notice, is a right-handed model, and this is a left-handed model. Also, the stripes are going to be just a little bit different too. Not only will they be reversed, but Eddie played a few different versions of this guitar over the years. This one here is the original Frankenstrat, while here we're going to be going with an 80s model Frankenstrat. So the stripes will be just a little bit different, but the colors will be the same, and the order of painting those colors will be the same. This particular model of the Frankenstrat is pretty uncommon. It's a tour model that Eddie used in the 80s, and had gifted it to Vitas Gerulaitis, a famous tennis star and guitarist, who happened to have quite the collection of guitars. After Vitas passed away in the 90s, this guitar eventually ended up at the Music Zoo, who made a great video about it, showing it real close up, allowing me to get excellent still shots of it, which I then turned and flipped over since I'll be building a left-hand model. Same thing with the headstock. Since I've never built this model, I broke it down even further and separated the colors out. After tracing the black lines on like this, I now know what it needs to look like after I paint on the black and the white. As with any guitar, the first step is to sand it down. And then the fun part begins, putting some black paint on it. My customer Jamie wanted it in a satin finish, so we're going to do it a tiny bit different than the original, but the satin's going to give it a real cool modern look. After 4 solid coats, looks great. Now it's on to taping the guitar up. Like I showed you before, I separated out the colors so I could figure out exactly where the black lines need to show up, and that's where I put the tape. So wherever I put the tape is where the black stripes are going to be. I applied 3 medium thickness coats of white to this guitar. With the classic Frankenstrat, you would remove this tape, as Eddie did because he played it in the black and white version for a little while. But with this particular model, he left the black tape on until after the red was sprayed, so we're not going to remove any tape. Just going to add some more and then spray the red. The headstock didn't have any black on it, so we started with the white on the headstock here too. If you're wondering why I'm painting directly onto the wood without using any primer, I actually am using primer. This paint is a paint and primer in one. Just like the body, we slap some tape on it and then spray the red on. As you can see, I like to go real light on my first coats. 4 coats later and it looks great. Now time for the reveal. The headstock turned out perfect. The stripes are only supposed to be on the front of the headstock. If you notice, they're real crisp lines right on the edges and right on the tip of the headstock. When I do the taping, I have a lot of different size tapes on hand, but also there's a lot of different sizes that you're going to need. There's no official instructions anywhere on exactly what the sizes are of all these tape stripes, so you have to just kind of eyeball it looking at the photos. Here you can see how I use an X-Acto blade and a straight edge to cut some 1-inch tape down to 3/8 and 1/4 inch tape, so I'll make different widths depending on what I need. After very patiently placing all the tape stripes, the guitar looks good to me, it's ready to go. This process takes a really long time because you have to use the body curves and the screw holes, where the holes are in the guitar, things like that, to figure out exactly where these stripes need to go. And back to the paint booth we go. You may notice I'm actually all covered up for this one because red paint has the most dye in it, so it really gets everywhere. It gets in the cracks of your skin, it gets everywhere, so I really wanted to avoid that. Another solid 4 coats of red on this guitar, and it looks awesome. The red covered great, and now I can't wait to see what it looks like once we pull that tape off in about 24 hours. After unwrapping the guitar, this guitar looks awesome. Compared to the guitar that I was replicating, it's almost identical. The red is a little bit brighter, and the satin sheen gave it a really cool modern look. There's still a couple final touches to be added. I could have taped it a little bit differently to have achieved them already, but it was my first time doing this exact pattern, so I missed a couple real small details. Alongside this Frankenstrat, I've also been starting to build another one for myself. I decided to change things up with my red, white, and blue Frankenstrat that I've had for a couple years and do something that I've been thinking about. Flat black with gloss black stripes and all gold hardware. So this here is the gloss black going on. For the tape pattern on this one, I basically just followed Eddie's Bumblebee guitar, but I added a couple extra lines to make it a little more busy since this one's got such subtle color differences. And man, did this one turn out awesome. The gold hardware is going to pop and make this thing look insane. I haven't seen anybody do this color scheme on a Frankenstrat before, but I got a feeling as more people see this guitar, there's going to be a lot more floating around. Got some great news with the Wolfgang. We found a buyer for the Wolfgang who wants to pay $550 plus shipping for it, which means $550 in the pocket, which also means the green LTD has been achieved. Again, just like with the last MH1000, I'm beyond blown away by the playability and the looks of this guitar. From the neck heel to the quilted top to the abalone binding, everything about this guitar is perfect. Of course, I gave it the Mark Murray treatment, all gold hardware, a set of EMG 8160 pickups, Floyd Rose 1000 series with plenty of FU tone upgrades, a Tessie kill switch, Q parts knobs, and a set of Goto tuners. After picking up these two MH1000s, my taste in guitars is starting to evolve more. I love the flashy tops on these guitars, and the neck-through construction fits my hands perfectly. So I'm starting to sell a lot more of my bolt-on guitars, and the next one to go is going to be this 90s Jackson. Another 90s Jackson. I've got a lot of these things. This one features two Seymour Duncan pickups direct mounted to the body, a premium Q parts knob, an EMG PA2 preamp, a gold Iron Age kill switch with a blue LED, and a gold Floyd Rose. Up at the headstock, it's got a set of Goto tuners. So this one's gonna go. The blue flame is gone. So the collection's really starting to get a lot smaller. But my problem with selling this guitar is I'm not gonna have a blue guitar. After picking up this MH1000 in this amazing green color, I think I can get rid of this Jackson bolt-on in a very similar green color. This one has a flame maple top. This is a guitar I originally played almost 25 years ago. This guitar was gifted to one of my friends for his 16th birthday in 1996. Years later, this guitar was up for sale on Craigslist and I found it. It was not set up and needed a lot of work, and I called the guy. Turned out to be the original owner, my old friend from 25 years ago. I went out to his house, we jammed some Metallica songs, and I bought it off him. Since then, I've restored it a few different ways with Seymour Duncans, then EMGs, then gold hardware, and now it's back to black hardware with Seymour Duncans. It's an awesome guitar with an amazing top on it, but like I said, after picking up this MH1000 in a very similar green, I don't think I need this in my collection anymore. So this one's hitting the selling block, and we're gonna see what we can get for it. Well, that one went quick. I found a buyer for it very shortly after listing it, within just a few days. I'm really starting to enjoy shrinking my guitar collection down. Be sure to tune in next week to see the conclusion of the Stealth Frankenstrat and see Jamie's Vetus Frankenstrat completed along with many other cool EVH variations I've been working on. Thanks so much for watching. Help spread the word by sharing the episodes with your friends, liking them, commenting on them, and subscribing to the YouTube channel. If you want your guitar featured on this show, email me, mark@guitarguts.com, or message me on Instagram @guitarguts, and we'll get your guitar here on the show. I love working on old guitars from people, especially when they have a great story behind them. So let me know if there's something I can do for you. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next week. Rock on, my friends.